This week on Checkpoint. Shocking revelations about the state of mental health at Tower Hospital in the Eastern Cape.
It's been years seclusion has been happening in that institution.
The conditions of the seclusion rooms were a major concern.
A sane person would go insane being in that space.
This is Checkpoint, and I'm Nkepile Mabuse. It's not unreasonable to assume that with the horrors of Life Esidimeni so thoroughly and publicly exposed, mental health care might have turned a corner. Yet, in the Eastern Cape, the treatment of psychiatric patients is suspected to be behind dozens of deaths. Please be warned, this report by Health E News, the first in a two-part series, may disturb some viewers.
Sango Jakachana grew up in the rolling hills and breathtaking beauty of the rural Eastern Cape.
Sango was a fun, loving person. He was active. He did karate in the township, but he had a passion for music.
His cousin, Golelwa, says they shared a happy and carefree childhood. When he was in his 20s, they realized something was wrong with Sango.
In isiXhosa, we call it amafufunyana or demons. We thought that he was possessed. It was something that would, go away with time. I remember my aunt went everywhere to try and have him, back to the person he was.
But his condition worsened and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
He would wake us up in the middle of the night saying, we are talking about him. So he would break windows. We lived in a house that didn't have windows. He would break all the windows. There was no radio because he didn't want anything with a sound in the house. He would break the TVs, glasses, plates. We didn't have anything that, in the house that broke.
He was admitted to Fort England Psychiatric Hospital in Grahamstown.
I think it was accepting that he was mentally ill and not getting any better. So my aunt would just take him to hospital, to Victoria Hospital, and maybe when psychiatrists visit there, they would give some medication. And he did that for a number of years.
In 2014, he was moved to Tower Hospital, a long-term psychiatric facility in the town of Fort Beaufort, closer to his home in Alice.
My aunt also realized that he was going to hurt someone pretty badly or fatally one time because he was also someone or himself.
3 weeks ago, Golelwa received a call from Tower Hospital.
I got a call last week, Tuesday, on the 22nd. In the late afternoon, I think it was 3:45. And first it was the lady on the line, and then she put me through to someone else. She asked who I was and my Sango's relative and who I was. And then she passed the call on to someone else. I didn't get his name, but he's the one who told me Sango had a stomach ache during that day. And I was waiting for him to say that they had then taken him to hospital. Maybe we need to go and visit him because that was the first time we got a call that he was sick. And he said, and then he passed on. I couldn't listen to the entire conversation because I then screamed. And a colleague of mine, because I was still at work, a colleague of mine took the phone and spoke to him.
Insiders at Tower told us that 37 patients fell ill on Sunday, May the 20th. Kitchen staff suspected it was the chicken livers that patients had for supper.
3 weeks now we're using this new brand. It's an unfamiliar brand. So what we noticed is there on those chicken livers, inside the box, there are a lot of gall in the chicken liver. You see a gall.
Sizwe Kupelo from the Eastern Cape Health Department confirmed the food poisoning, but said Sango's death was unrelated. Golelwa drove to Tower to ask questions.
I got the feeling that they were lying because the events are not the same. They didn't relate the events the same way. The times are not the same, and the events are not the same, because the previous person said the doctor arrived when he had already died, but then when they told us, when we went there, they said he died while the doctor was there. You know, the doctor got there and then he saw that he was not going to get better. So basically didn't take him to hospital.
She was told that Sango had refused treatment.
Which was very strange to me, because I don't know who's someone who's dying or refusing treatment. And why would you listen to a mentally ill patient when they say no and you are sane and you're not wanting to help?
The ward notes from the day Sango died indicate that his condition was first noted at 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, May the 22nd. Ward staff tried to contact 2 doctors, neither of whom could be reached. In less than half an hour, Sango's condition deteriorated. He vomited and stopped breathing.
I think he was sick. He must have been sick right through that night. He must have been sick right through that night and was ignored, and they only found him the next day. I feel like it's lies that he only told them he was sick and died 20 minutes later. I don't believe he got the best treatment.
The post-mortem done by state pathologists cited natural causes, but Xolelwa says details were vague. She's baffled that an abnormally large colon he'd lived with all his life could kill him in 30 minutes. On Saturday, June the 2nd, Sango was buried in Alice, leaving many unanswered questions.
We had hoped as the entire family that his death wouldn't come while he was still mentally ill. We had all hoped that he would one day come back home, the person we knew, as the person who he was born as.
After the break, the death register cover-up.
The one death register doesn't have the same names as the other death register.
There was just no correlation between the numbers.